Well, the mainstream media gave Ben Carson a very hard time for a whole week for his answer about what would you do if you were in a situation where somebody with a gun was shooting people. And I understand why it was controversial, because some people, and I didn't see it this way, some people thought that the presidential candidate was somehow criticizing the victims of the Oregon campus massacre. But in his answer, Carson didn't talk about specifically, of course it was the larger context, specifically what the people in Oregon did, 9 of whom were killed by this crazy person. But he said what he would do, and he said what he would do would be not just to stand around, but to try to get others to attack the government on the theory the government couldn't shoot them all at once. Now, I found that to be kind of an awkward answer, and everyone's free to criticize it, but the way in which the media reacted, you would think that Carson was just sort of pointing the finger at blame at those who were killed. He denies doing that. I didn't see it that way. Some people in the media did see it that way. All right, got an email from Mike D who says, what world are we living in when it is over the top for someone to say people shouldn't stand around like sheep while getting shot at and should instead fight for their lives? These people are truly laughable, referring to the critics. May God help them if they ever have to make that choice when confronted with evil. Well, I hope nobody ever has to make that choice, but unfortunately, I've talked about this in the past, these mass shootings are becoming more and more common, almost to the point now where they're 1- and 2-day stories, where before the media would spend months just wringing their hands over the fact that somebody can get a gun, and this is not even getting into the gun control debate, that somebody who's mentally ill, can take out so many people, and whether or not we can do something about this. So Carson gave what seemed to him to be a reasonable answer and got raked over the coals by the media. And then the debate somehow got sidetracked into Nazi Germany and whether the Jews could have fought back against the Holocaust had they had more weapons. I mean, I don't know why this is front and center in a presidential campaign when we have so many problems in this country today to deal with. But I will make an observation about Ben Carson and the media, because there's been a whole number of things that he has said, whether it was, what happens to gay men when they go to prison, whether it was other sort of tangents where it involved either Nazis or Obamacare as slavery, or of course saying that he wouldn't advocate for a Muslim president. And he later said no, he had qualified that. He wouldn't advocate for a Muslim president who was going to impose some kind of Sharia law and not follow the U.S. Constitution. And here's the point. In every one of these flaps, most of the mainstream media have come down on Ben Carson, have criticized Ben Carson, and yet he continues to go up in the polls. So he is touching some kind of nerve from people who like these answers, and it doesn't really matter whether the pundits like them or not. Of course, we have to report on them, and it's certainly fair game to critique them. But Carson, in a way like Trump, is connecting with people despite media criticism because they feel like he is giving them the straight scoop.